In this video, I'm going to show you how we create that running average app. You start a new project, call it the running average app. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the title. Again, we're going to go down and then call it running average app. Now we are going to add our layout, which is going to be horizontal. We're going to change the width to be fill parent. Now we are going to start adding our label, and we're going to change the text to enter number. We are going to add a text box to the right of it. We are going to change the name to be number underscore txt, and then we are going to add a button. We're going to call it submit underscore btr, and we're going to change the text to be submit. We are going to drag and drop a notifier, which I've already done that one, so I'm not going to drag and drop another one. And for the text box, we are going to change the hint to blank, nothing. So everything is already on the screen. Now we can go ahead and start with the programming. We are going to need a couple of variables here. The first one is going to be the variable, we call it sum, which is going to keep track of the sum of the numbers, and the initial value is set to 0. We duplicate this one. We call the next one total, which is going to keep track of the total number of entries. So total is 0 at the beginning. We're going to have another one which is called max, which keeps track of the maximum number. Now we set this value initially to, let's say, negative 99,999. We make sure that this one is going to be the smallest number possible. So any number entered by the user is going to be greater than max initially. Now, we are assuming that the user does not enter a number smaller than this one. Then it's going to be a mistake here, but this is our assumption. Another one we're going to call mean. And this one, we are going to initially we make sure it is the largest number possible. So any number entered by the user is going to be smaller than 99,999. And also we need another variable, we call it temp, submit button, and when the user hits click, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to set temp to be the uppercase or lowercase of the input. So I'm going to go to text, and then I'm going to change the number that the user enters to uppercase, because I want to check to see if the user enters done. So I'm going to check if temp is not equal to the text done. So compare text. If it's not equal to text done, remember I change the entry to uppercase. So I'm going to say uppercase done. If temp is not equal to done, then I'm going to increment total. So I'm going to say total. I'm going to add 1 to it. So I'm going to get total plus 1. So I need a math block which is going to add 1 to total. So this increments number of entries. So total is total plus 1. Now I'm going to do the same thing with sum. So I'm going to say sum is sum, but not plus 1. I'm going to add this number dot text. So my sum is going to be sum plus whatever the user enters, and my total number of entries is going to be incremented by 1. Now I'm going to check to see if this number entered by the user is, let's say, less than mean. Then I'm going to set the mean value. So I need if, and then I need the math operator to check to see if it's less than mean. So I'm going to say if number entered is less than mean, and my mean is this initial one. So I'm going to say if number entered is less than mean, then I'm going to set mean. Then mean is equal to the number entered. So this is going to set the value of the mean. I'm going to duplicate this one, the whole thing, and I'm going to check if it's greater than max. Then I'm going to set max to be this one. Now, this is done with this entry that the user enters. When the entry is done, okay, I'm going to set the text box where the numbers are entered to be blank. So I'm going to go and set the number text to be blank now. So the user can enter a new number. What about if the entry is equal to done, meaning the user is finished entering numbers? So I'm going to say else. The first thing I have to do is to show the result. So I'm going to go to notifier. Now, with the new version of App Inventor, there is a bug that we cannot enter new line here. It used to be if I enter something like this character, then it would go to the next line. So I could have, separate display on the notifier. But right now, There is nothing. I've already searched Google and there is no character that I can specify to go to the next line. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to have space between the output. Now, the title that for notifier, I'm going to say running average app. This is the title. The button, the text on the button, I'm going to say OK. Now the message, I'm going to use the join because I have a series of displays here. The first one is going to be my total, because if I go to here, I want to have the number of entries, which is in fact is incorrect here because the number of entries is 5 here. So this is a mistake. And then the average, maximum, and minimum. So I'm going to go to my blocks here. The first one is number of entries, which is going to be total. So I'm going to get the total out. And I'm going to put here. Now I want a space here. So I'm going to put a string here. I need a few of them, so I'm just going to add a few. Now the next one is going to be space here. Then I need, the first one is the total, then the average. So I need a division block, and I'm going to divide the sum by the total. Again, I need a space here. Then I need the max. Again, I need space. And now I need more, a last socket here. And that one is going to be mean. And this is what I'm going to show in the notifier. So I'm going to have total, average, max, and mean. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the text box to be blank if the user starts entering values again. So I'm going to duplicate this one and I'm going to put right here. And I think this is going to be enough for our app. So again, as usual, I have the emulator running. So I'm going to go ahead and check it against the example here. So I'm going to enter -5, then 12, then 10, 0, 8. Now I'm going to enter done in different casings just to check to see if it works. I have uppercase, lowercase, and 2 uppercase done. If I hit submit, then I get number of entries is 5. Then there is a problem here with the average, and the max is correct, the mean is correct. So we're going to go back and see what the problem is with the average. If I go back to my app inventor, the problem is that when the done phrase is typed, the notifier here is going to show the global total and the average, max, and mean. But it's not going to initialize all of these values, these variables, to the initial value, which is 0, for instance, for the total, for the sum to 0, and max to be negative 99,999, and mean the same way. And this is the problem that we have here. So what I'm going to do is that for sum, I'm going to set sum here after the notifier shows the values to the initial value, which is 0, for instance. Now I'm going to duplicate this one and make total to be 0, duplicate, and then I'm going to set max to be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then mean to be 99,000. So sum, total, max, mean. Every time the done phrase is typed. So let's go ahead and check it this time against the example here. So let's type negative 5, 12, 10, 0, and 8. And if I type done, I'm getting 5 number of entries, average is 5, 12 is the maximum, and negative 5 is the minimum, which is correct. Let's try it one more time. Let's say 1, 2, let's say only 2 entries. Done. Let's make it uppercase E. Then it's going to give me 2, which is correct, 2 entries. 1 plus 2 is 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. The max is 2 and the mean is 1.